Welcome, everybody. Hi. Just waiting for everybody to come in. We have like 5 minutes before we start the show. So, honestly, when I seen this documentary about there's such thing as Pakistani Jews and where they live, and honestly, I never had this picture in my head. I only spoken to one, and I'm just like, oh, there's some. And then I found this like interesting documentary, and it just won my undivided attention. That hey, like if there's such thing, where are the locations that the most in like antique location where Jews ever lived in Pakistan, and it just like won my undivided attention. And I'll be honest, I only spoke to like one one in my lifetime from Pakistan, and he was more Pakistani than I would ever be. He loves the food, he loves the stuff, he loves the leaders, he loves the country, and I guarantee there's many people like that who just want to see what the countries like. I was just watching a clip from the traveling class how he felt for Iraq. Well, I sometimes feel that way too for because it's fun. Like when you actually speak to a Jew or a Christian who speaks the same language as you and likes your stuff. It just the vibe is just so different, and people don't see it like that until they actually try it. So I'm gonna show a video, and there's like 2-3 minutes where people walk in the room. I'll give it a minute or two. Now, this video is going to be in like Urdu, and I know not a lot of people understand Urdu, but I will translate everything in English. And the first video, it has a little bit of English translation, what the Pakistani Jew is like saying. The other one, it shows a little bit of their roots and their location and where they live, things like that. And half of the stuff, I didn't even know that until I saw some of it. And I'm just like, really now? There is such thing? I did not know, but I would love to take a look that, hey, there's such thing as a Pakistani Jew. Did anybody tell me? I would love to know. And honestly, in this video, that is what we're going to see. Although Indian Jews are a lot older than Pakistani Jews. We all know that. They've been there before the birth of even Christianity, but it's worth looking like, hey, what was life like? I think people are on the wrong side of the history here, thinking like every single Jew, just because it supports Israel or something, it's a Zionist, forgetting that Jews have started in the Muslim countries. They spoke your language. And it's too good to be true, but it's historically true. They have. Until I met one, and I was shocked myself. I'm like, what? I'm like, you're a Jew? And he's like, yes, I'm a Pakistani Jew. I'm like, I went blank for a minute. I'm like, Pakistani Jew? Like, what? And they're like, yeah, I'm a Pakistani Jew. I'm like, oh my God. And some people started calling him Muslim and things like that. And I didn't feel okay with that. But then when I watched videos and I seen early history of the Pakistani people and things like that, yeah, that's when I realized, okay, baby, there is such thing. So let's get into it while people walk in the room. I'm going to show my first video. Damn, people, honestly, I feel bad sometimes, but they should really look into this stuff. It's a lot more than you know, and people don't really like to pay attention to it until they actually, see an example of it. And people who like to do just wars and constant wars without even a concept of a war. In the name of religion, you must keep warring. In the name of the land, you must keep warring. That's all bullshit. Either you war for a cause, that's it. Otherwise, focus on your house. Pretty much how I see things. But yeah, if you don't have a purpose, what are you warring for, man? Don't war because you want to. That's just redundant, isn't it? So, like, stay tuned, y'all. I'm going to put up my...
What is an AI pen test? Well, this is the latest...
I'm going to get ready to share my screen. I have it up. Let's go. So, has anybody ever seen a Pakistani Jew? And I thought this would be really interesting for me to share with my fan members. Like, has anybody seen one? Because I haven't. And this is going to be my first time sharing an experience, Pakistani Jew, and how it felt like being a Pakistani. I'm sure there's many Jews out there who miss their places like Iraq, Libya, Syria. I met some of them who are from there. And honestly, I'm just going to say one answer. There are many like that who wish to come home. And people just need to learn to give people chances, not go by the politics, because 90% of what the politics telling you is a made-up history. It's not history itself, let me tell you that much. Like, on my last stream, if you remember, I talked about Arab militant nationalism. Well, that has a serious role in society not many people know about, but that has a major play that not many people understand. I bet 90% people don't even know that before some of the countries took place or even took its independence, some of the monarchs have helped welcomed American independence, and there were Jews living at the time, and not all of them supported Hitler. And you think for a minute, huh? But you're Muslim. Yeah, that's right. But the Muslim world has been divided. Not many people understand that. But okay, so let's get into this, and I'm going to show the first look about a Pakistani Jew, and this needs to go, boy.
It's a buzz in the security world, and in 60 seconds, I'll attempt to explain how it all works.
I am a Pakistani. I will always remain a Pakistani. No matter where I live, Pakistan is in my entire body. I just feel like a Pakistani. The problem was that when we grew up a little, we were alone from then on. I remember there was an American ambassador. He said, if you want to leave to the States and Israel, there is a vessel that can leave. So everyone went. It was always like this, that Pakistanis are not allowed to go to Israel. He said that if you want to come to Pakistan, you need a Pakistani passport. Then you will have to surrender your Israeli nationality. Only then you will be allowed to come to Pakistan. I am a Pakistani. I will remain a Pakistani, no matter where I live.
So that's just a preview of one Jew that he enjoyed his time being a Pakistani Jew and the stuff he went on with. Although there's not that many Pakistani Jews anymore, I doubt it. I would say there's only one left. The question is, you would ask yourself, what exactly happened to them and why there's no more Pakistani Jews? Because when I've seen conversations, I've seen people talk to Jews and be like, oh, you're a Jew. And like, yeah, somebody's Jewish. And no, I'm not Jewish. I know people have been calling me that all day just for speaking history. They've been calling me Jewish. I'm not Jewish. But like, when people do those things and when people not study those things, they kind of feel like left out. They feel like, oh, stuff is being made up. No, nothing's being made up. Let me tell you that much. Nothing at all. However, when you look into ancient time period, where does what Jew come from? And I said it before and I'll say it again. People don't know that Muslim countries actually had Jews, but what people don't know is what happened to them. And when we try to educate ourselves or like, show stuff, people just go into lost directions like, oh, that's not true, or when did that happen? That's not possible. Like, it's possible. You need to ask yourself, like, how did it happen? I ask Muslims all the time, you say you're not supposed to kill Muslims, so why do you kill Muslims like the Kurds? Kurds are Muslims, the Alawites are Muslims, they're still Muslim, and you kill Balochis, you kill Afghanis. You're holding your head for a minute. You say the religion is for peace, but you're not supposed to be killing your neighbors, but you kill them anyway. And I feel like that's the part where people can never answer an accurate question. And that question is actually very important in order to understand, well, narratives. And not many people like to face that part, but it's the sad truth. You have to do it. And so that's just one Pakistani Jew. Now I'm going to show roots to history in ancient time history where Pakistan actually had Jewish roots and things like that. And not many people like to talk about it, but it's important to understand what happened in time. So this is probably going to be my next video to show what happened to the Jewish people in Pakistan and where were their roots. So listen to it. That's going to be like the next thing that we are going to review at. And it's actually pretty historical because I know many people who went to Morocco. They went to places, and they just look like, oh my God, a Jew used to be here. That's right. Someone Jewish used to be here, and not a lot of the people understand that part. But yes, someone Jewish was there, and then they go like, what happened? Why aren't there any Jews? What happened? Why is the synagogue still here? And that's like the mystery people do not want to dig in. I know what happened, but like, no, many people like to look, and they feel every single Jew is either linked to Israel or linked to Zionism. Either if they like Israel for a reason or safety purposes, suddenly people just like come after them like it's some game. No, you need to study history, fool. Not a lot of people understand this, but yeah. So that's probably going to be my next video. So look in, and I'm going to translate so people can understand. So like, I was surprised myself that there is such thing as villages, as this guy said that he's proud of being a Pakistani Jew. I remember when he said that he loves, like, you know, the Pakistani food, the stuff in Karachi, and that literally makes him feel like love.
Never thought about becoming
and things like that, you know? And that's where stuff come in, and stuff feels different when you do that part or see the love, how like, hey, you know, you love this food too, you love the living over here, love everything. So what's the disagreement about other than, well, somebody's well Jewish? And that's the society I'm honestly not going to understand. I was recently on Twitter and somebody wrote me something very stupid. And why are they punished? So I'm like, no, the question is, there's no such scripture that in the name of God, you need to come after them. That's all nationalist movements. And that's what the Muslim world did. I would say exactly after 1800s. When the West took independence, the Muslim world kind of just took a wrong path and started fighting, all because they couldn't stand that the West culture have taken place, which is dumb. There were some smart Muslim countries too who didn't find the club, like Albania, Morocco, and the monarchs. They didn't do those things. But there were certain countries who just built a path, like for military narratives, and just came after the Christians, they came after the Jews. And then when you educate this stuff to the people, I'm like, this is what happened to your country. This is why people were kicked out. And people are like, nuh-uh. I'm like, yes, sources to prove it. You just need to connect the dots. Like, let's say from Ali Qasem to Saddam Hussein and all these military leaders. Then, of course, in 1947, Pakistan took place. So I would say maybe 1948 or 49 is when Pakistan welcomed the military club. Pakistan also had a president, but people don't like to study this stuff. So these military organizations, they kind of kicked out the Jews, and they weren't treating Christians either. Even Christians have stayed the longest, and they participated the most. But that's where you're looking like, okay, wait a minute, what happened to them? And then nationalism started in Muslim countries, like everything's for a Muslim and no rights to other people. So when you meet them later in life, you feel kind of, well, awkward, how I felt when I met a Pakistani Jew. And I had an interesting conversation with him. Jokes, he's more Pakistani than I will ever be. And we had a wonderful time playing jokes on each other. And I'm like, you like traditional Pakistani breakfast? He's like, yeah. He's like, I love Pakistani breakfast, like the parathas and things like that. And I'm like, I just said to myself, like, dang, you're more Pakistani than I ever will be. When I'm American Pakistani Muslim due to parents, my parents are Pakistani, but damn, you as a Pakistani Jew, you are so into the culture food. And that's the stuff people need to understand. Once you see someone like that, that's when you know, hello, once upon a time you had a connection. Now, what happened to it, not a lot of people know, but here goes the video. I'm going to be translating because it is, it's in Urdu, and not a lot of the people speak English here. They only speak Urdu, but I'm going to translate as they go. So here's the video. Jewish locations. These are Jewish locations.
यहूदी कराची में कब, क्यों और कैसे आए?
He's saying, when did Jews arrive to Karachi? That's what he's saying, that when did Jews arrive to Karachi? And I think it's important for Pakistanis to see, to understand what exactly happened. So, and not a lot of people know that, but yes.
मैंने काम किया, उन्होंने तो पाकिस्तान को प्रमोट भी करवाया। मतलब के साथ तो हमारा बहुत अच्छा गहरा ताल्लुक था।
Okay, so they are saying that we helped Pakistan get promoted. We helped build stuff, which I said it before and I'll say it again. Not many people remember this, but Jewish communities really helped. Jewish community helped build the Muslim countries. And this was so here's someone Jewish sharing its story that how it helped Pakistan and what exactly happened in the middle. Not a lot of people know this information, but it's the historical truth that's going to bite. So here we go.
कैसी यादें हैं पाकिस्तान के साथ आपकी? पाकिस्तान जैसा कोई दुनिया में मुल्क ही नहीं है. So one of the
There's the first Jew we saw. Here's the first Jew we saw in the first video. Here he is. And he's sharing how does he like it in Pakistan. Just like there's some Jews who are waiting to go in Iraq.
best places on earth. क्या आज भी कराची में यहूदी आबाद हैं?
पाकिस्तान में कुल 780 जूइश कम्युनिटी के लोग मौजूद हैं.
सदर का इलाका है, एक बहुत मशहूर होटल है. संडे गेट टुगेदर.
So they lived in Sadr. Sadr used to be a Jewish area. I'm translating everything they're saying. Sadr, I'm not sure if anybody's seen Sadr, but Sadr used to be a big Jewish community lived in Sadr. That's one of the places where the Jews live, Sadr. If you study some of the places, you'll understand, but Sadr is one of them.
होती है, यहूदी भी आते हैं, ईसाई भी आते हैं, पारसी भी आते हैं, और ये आपस में मिलते हैं. एक अलग दुनिया.
Parsis would be like the Persian people who speak like Parsi, the language, but yeah.
क्या है वो? Jewish teacher हमको इस्लामियात की क्लास के लिए खास तौर पे भेजा करती है. तेरी अम्मी को पुलिस ने भी पकड़ लिया.
So if somebody says that Jews don't know Islam, you gotta be kidding. So here in Pakistan, Jews used to literally be teachers. They used to educate children about Islam versus the military narrative. They literally used to educate children what Islam is. Now you think for a minute because they know the culture, they know what Islam is supposed to be, which is crazy may it sounds, but it's true. They know what it is because I said this before and I'll say it again. Islam is very similar to Judaism, away from militant politics in the name of Muhammad, blah, 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 in the name of God, blah, blah, blah. That's not it. And Jews who know, once upon a time, they used to teach this stuff in Pakistan, what Islam was, as a teacher. Now you think, what the heck happened?
आप इजरायली एजेंट. एक दफा तो एक मौलवी साहब ने रेडियो में भी बोल दिया था कि यहूदी काफिर है.
So he said something very interesting. He said that a mullah told him that, oh, Yahud is kafir, but we all know that the mullah is everybody's enemy. There's nobody's friends, but that's not what we are interested in. But Jews did know Islam. If somebody tells them that, oh, they don't know Islam, you got to be kidding. They know a lot of stuff.
Hello. Hello. Hello, भाजी आप सुनाओ. कराची की तारीख के सफ़ात पलटें तो हमें यहाँ बनी इसराइल के नाम से मशहूर यहूदियों की झलक भी दिखाई देती है. ये लोग कभी इस.
So he's saying there's a location named after Bani Israel. So now you think for a minute, huh? Oh my God, it's Israel. Yes, because I said it before. Even the smartest person has said it before. Bani Israel is literally labeled in the Quran. So if you say you're an Islamic country, how can you possibly erase these tribes? That is actually in the Quran, your own book. So you heard right. Yes, Bani Israel locations in Pakistan, but yeah.
शहर में बसते थे. इनकी कहानियां कराची के माजी में दफन है. इनकी अनकही कहानियां हमें याद दिलाती हैं कि ये शहर कितना वसीउल कल्ब था. गुमशुदा औराक पलटने की कोशिश करें तो हम अपने माजी के कई अछूते राज दोबारा दरियाफ्त कर सकते हैं. आप यकीन जानिए, यहूदियों की तलाश में निकले कदम ना तो कोई यहूदी साजिश है और ना ही किसी पुर इसरार मंसूबे का हिस्सा, बल्कि ये शहर के माजी को समझने और इसके खोए हुए विरसे को महफूज करने की एक संजीदा कोशिश है. आप यकीनन हैरान होंगे यहूदियों के साथ बिताए हुए वक्त की यादें आज भी यहाँ.
So that's a red flag question when people say, oh, what happened to Jews? Believe the Jews when they tell them. Sometimes what they're telling you is historically true. So yes, Muslim countries did have Jews. Now the question is, what exactly happened to them? And I told you, militant nationalists exterminated Jews. That's exactly what happened to them in Syria. That's exactly what happened to them in places like Lebanon. That's exactly what happened to them in Iraq. Militant nationalists literally exterminated Jews. So when they say yes, they had a good time, and just like the first Jew said that I could never leave Pakistan if my life depended on it, because he loved it. And here's another video, and we can watch it afterwards right here where he's on a podcast. So there were many Jews who enjoyed the country. The question is, what happened to them?
के मुकामी लोगों के दिलों में जिंदा है। 40 साल पहले रहमीम यहूदी रफीक सेंटर से कालीन खरीदकर यूरोप एक्सपोर्ट करता था। माजी के सुनहरे दिनों के आखिरी गवाह मुबशिर अहमद बग्गा और आमिर गुल आगा आज भी रहमीम की कहानियां सुनाते हैं।
40 साल पहले की एक लंबी दास्तान, रहमीम यहूदी नाम की एक फैमिली होती थी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मार्केट में अभी भी।
So he's talking about a Jewish family who used to run an electronic store. That's what he's talking about now. A Jewish family who ran an electronic store.
ये फैमिली बहुत हाई फाई फैमिली थी। हर हफ्ते डेली 10 कस्टमर आते थे। डील क्या करते थे, लाखों करोड़ों का माल लेते थे, पूरी पूरी दुकान का सौदा करते।
You see that? A Jew ran this store. As in Yahud. Yahud used to run this store. Look at all this merchandise, the stuff. A Jew used to run this store.
इस तरह की डील करते थे। जिन यहूदियों से मैंने काम किया, जिनको मैं जानता हूँ, उन्होंने तो पाकिस्तान को प्रमोट भी करवाया। माल यहाँ से बनाते थे, लेके जाते थे। उनका नाम था रामी। उनके बच्चे भी काम करते थे, 3 बच्चे थे, मदद और उनके दूसरे बच्चों का नाम मेरे को याद नहीं है। जो बोलते थे कमिटमेंट पूरी करते थे। आप उसको धोखा नहीं दे रहे थे, वो आपको धोखा नहीं दे रहा होता। एक एक आदमी को पता था कि इतने का बन रहा है, कारीगर को पता होता था इतने का जा रहा है, और ये इसको मिल रहा है और ये इसको मिल रहा है। सब अपना अपना शेयर लेके अलग हो जाते थे। ये जो देखेगा डेबिट का निशान, अभी देखो आधा नजर आ रहा है ना, आधा रह गया। जब ये मजदूर चालक पे हो गए तो टूट गया, लेकिन किसी ने इसे तोड़ा नहीं।
यहूदियों की खोज के दौरान एक दिलचस्प कहानी सुनने को मिली, जिसने मुझे थोड़ा हैरान भी किया।
These were Jewish locations where the Jews lived. What they're showing on camera, these are Jewish places where they lived.
कि बग्गा ने बताया कि रहमीम के 2 बेटे भी कालीनों का कारोबार करते थे। एक बेटे का नाम इमैनुअल था, जिसे वो प्यार से ईमा ईमा कहते थे, और दूसरे बेटे का नाम मदद जैद था। मदद ने अपनी मुस्लिम
Jewish kids
मुलाजमा से न सिर्फ इश्क किया बल्कि शादी भी की। वो
So like this Jewish family right here, this is a couple, a Jew married a Muslim right here. That's what he's saying, that they ended up getting married. A Jewish couple married a Muslim, like a man was Jewish and I think the girl was Muslim, and yes, they got married. So these are real stories of the Jewish people in Pakistan that not a lot of people know about, but yeah. Let's carry on before I go to the last video, but this one's important to understand the locations and the places that the Jews once lived.
खुद को मारूफ ईरानी शायर उमर खयाम के रूप में पेश करता और अपनी महबूबा को उमर खयाम की रुबाइयां सुनाता।
ای دوست بیا تا غم فردا نخوریم وین یک دم عمر را غنیمت شمریم.
In other news, Texas residents are going to be happy to hear this. It just came out. There's a new website where
we're going to pause that. So this is the Pakistani Jews untold story, and not a lot of people know about.
लोग हैरान होते थे कि भाई ये क्या, यानी कि वो हमसे माल भी लेता था, पैसा भी देता था। तो रहमीम जो था ना, वो थोड़ा कंजूस था। ये जो था, मतलब ये खुले दिल का था। फिर इनकी लव स्टोरी चली कोई 3 माह, ये फैमिली गई।
So this is a couple, a Jewish man, where he fell in love with a Muslim woman. So that's how. Remember when there's a saying that Jews can marry Muslims? So all this stuff comes in when Jews lived in Muslim countries. And there were Jews, I bet, who lived in India also, who married Indians, like Indian whoever. It doesn't have to be Jewish specifically, but they did marry people from there who were Indian. Well, this is a Pakistani Jew who married, a Muslim from Pakistan. That's how marriages used to be when Jews did not specifically live in Israel and when they lived out of country. But yeah.
थी बाहर, पीछे मतलब जैद और वो लड़की मुलाजमा, ये उमरे ख़याम का रोल अदा कर रहे होते थे। हम जब जाते थे तो हमें कहता था आ जाओ बैठो, शर्म की बात है। वो असल लड़की भी बड़ी प्यारी थी, फिर ये एक बार इधर आई शेरेटन में.
So he's saying that the guy who he used to work with was Jewish, and the girl that he married was very beautiful, which is basically what he's saying. And they used to play jokes together, working in the same shop. The Jew and the other few workers, they had a good time working together in one shop that was owned by someone Jewish.
वहाँ भी उनकी ईमा की शादी थी. मतलब ने जिससे शादी की है वो हैदराबाद से आई, मुसलमान थी और अभी भी है. अब वो स्विट्जरलैंड में अल्लाह जाने कौन से शहर में है. माँ बाप ने बहुत इख्तलाफ किया. माँ बाप चला गया था इसराइल तो महीने के लिए, तो जब वापस आया तो चांद निकल चुका था. रहमीन ने तो सख्त इख्तलाफ किया, लेकिन वालदा जो थी ना वो बेचारी अकलमंद थी. लड़की के घर वालों से कोई इख्तलाफ नहीं था, बल्कि खुश थे.
अगर हम आपकी मदद और इमा के साथ मुलाकात करवा दें तो आपको कैसा लगेगा? मुबशिर बग्गा ने शादी का जिक्र ऐसे एतमाद और मजे से किया जैसे ये कोई मामूली बात हो, मगर मेरे लिए ये चौंका देने वाली बात थी. मुसलमान और यहूदी.
Now it gets spicy. See, he's talking about it like a Muslim and a Jew married? How? People are going to probably have red flag questions. Muslim and a Jew, how is that possible? Especially right now, what's going on? And I laugh about this because it just shows people don't know history quite enough as they should. Of course it's possible, because I'll give an example, and I said this before and I'll say it again. Marrying a Jew doesn't necessarily mean that you, even though some take this as a personal project, that you just have to convert people or you can't get married. No. For example, Muslims and Jews can eat, like if let's say you don't get halal, you get kosher. Muslims can eat kosher, so you both can cook your meals. And even though someone Jewish has taught me that Jews don't really put dairy into their meat, that's fine. It's not like you're making Pakistani food filled with dairy. So okay, you're using kosher meat to cook your meals, and you're gonna go with the process as you cook almost every day. What's the next similarity you guys have? The next similarity is, like, for example, you have very similar holidays. Jews also fast. You got to study what days do they fast. Muslims mostly fast in Bakr or Ramadan. So, like, if you were to live together, what traditions and things you would be following? You both fast. You would have to study what day do I need to fast and what day do the Jewish holiday we need to fast. So there's a lot of things, and they both. Now, where did the complication comes from? Well, if you're someone who didn't believe in conversion, or you never converted, you would tell your child, like, okay, if you were to because it's a mixture child, right? It's Jewish and a Muslim. You tell, like, hey, okay, go for a Jew or a Muslim, whoever you find, because that's how you got married. But if they chose to marry a Christian, you would have to inspire a child, like, okay, just make sure you learn the Christian traditions, because not a lot of the Christian traditions, other than the concept of Jesus, comes to these traditional laws. Like, for example, if we live in Texas today, even though Pakistan didn't have that, we would go to either, let's say we get halal ban law, right? Let's say we did. We would go to a Jewish store to buy our meat. That's the same policies there. And yes, there was a time period, just like how the guy said, that Jews used to teach Islam in Pakistan. So yes, for that, Jews were allowed to pray to mosque. This also happened in the time of, well, Hitler, when Algeria monarchy hit a whole bunch of Jews in a mosque, stating that they're Muslims, but they weren't actually Muslims. They were Jews behind the table. And in fact, there were photos about this. I was surprised to see them, that during the time of Hitler, people put Jews into a abaya and stating, oh, no, that's a Muslim. That's not a Jew. That's a Muslim. But due to these traditions and a lot of things, people need to understand how they get around. So if you're someone, let's say you need to pray. Jews use the wall to pray. They stand up and they shake at the wall and they pray, and they wear their yarmulke. And the Muslims use a hat or hijab to pray on the ground and bow to the ground carpet. Some people even do it in a chair. So all these traditions come, and I know people are looking at my stream like, huh? A Muslim? How is that possible? But I already reviewed this information. That's where the Jews lived, in Muslim countries. Then exactly you need to study what exactly happened to them. And that's the red flag question for everybody. But yeah.
दोनों बैनुल मज़ाहिब शादी के सख्त मुखालिफ हैं. यहूदी कानून के मुताबिक मजहब माँ से बच्चे में मुंतकिल होता है, इसलिए अगर किसी यहूदी मर्द की किसी गैर यहूदी औरत से शादी हो जाए तो भी इनकी औलाद को यहूदी नहीं माना जाता। यही वजह थी कि 2014 में इसराइल
But like that's in Muslims too, even though this is sort of the trouble question, and I know people are going to be like, how is that possible? Like, you know how Jews feel like if you marry a non-Jew, you're not considered Jewish anymore. I'm laughing because believe it or not, we have the same thick-headed problem too. That Muslim, if you marry a non-Muslim, you're not Muslim anymore. Same thick-headed thinking. Jews are the same, and same for like, you know, Muslims, that hey, if you marry a non-Muslim, you're not a Muslim anymore. Same for the Jews. But like, that's what they're saying, even though, like, for example, when you have that's what he's saying in there, that if Jews, like, you know, marry a non-Jew, they're not considered Jews anymore. But that's the same problem that the Muslims have as well. Now, another thing that I'm going to review, for example, what was it before it slips out of my brain, is that when you have a baby girl, okay, baby girls, not many people take like things, but when you have a baby boy and how you want to, Muslims like to say we need to make it like Muslim halal, right? And you do your traditions, where Jews do the similar traditions too when they have a baby boy, but I think they do it after 3 months. There's so much in common, and you think, where does it come from? But yeah.
वज़ीर आज़म बिन्यामिन नेतन्याहू के बेटे की गैर यहूदी खातून से मुमकिना शादी की खबरों ने इसराइल में शदीद तनाज़ा खड़ा कर दिया था।
He's saying there was a big catastrophe when people found out that Netanyahu's son wasn't married someone non-Jewish. But then again, I remember when I reviewed that Imran Khan, Pakistan's minister, also married someone Jewish that not many people know about. I was shocked too when I found that out, but it is historically true that Imran Khan did marry someone Jewish, although they're not together anymore. But yeah, I think it's because of the incidents in Pakistan. But yeah, Imran Khan also married. She had Jewish roots. But yeah, that's what he's saying, that how some stuff started to go up and down when Netanyahu's son announcement got into the billboard that he married someone non-Jewish. But I wouldn't take that seriously because Muslims do the same thing. If you don't marry with someone Muslim, you're not considered Muslim. Jews have the same views too, that if you don't marry someone Jewish, you're not Jewish.
इश्क बहरहाल अंधा होता है, ये सोचकर मेरी हैरत कुछ कम हुई, लेकिन इस शादी से जुड़ी तशवीश मुकम्मल तौर पर खत्म नहीं हुई।
यहूदी कराची में कब, क्यों और कैसे आए? यहाँ यहूदी कहाँ बसते थे और उनका तर्ज जिंदगी कैसा था? क्या आज भी कराची में यहूदी आबाद हैं? मैं कोशिश करूंगा कि इन तमाम सवालों का जवाब आपको जरूर।
Now we're getting into the spicy part, the Jewish heritage. So from marriage into Pakistan, now we are getting to the heritages, what Jewish heritages hold link over here. And I'm pretty sure everybody will have to see this, but yeah.
These are website names that are still somehow available.
And I hate the ads. I mute them. Back.
आज की कहानी में तमाम किरदार यहूदियों के बारे में न सिर्फ मालूमात रखते हैं, बल्कि इन्होंने कराची की गलियों और मोहल्लों में यहूदियों को अपनी आंखों से देखा है। सबसे पहले हम मिलते हैं मारूफ मुसन्निफ इकबाल-ए-रहमान मांडविया से, जिनकी किताब का नाम था इस दश्त में एक शहर था, और ये किताब एक दास्तान है शहर निगारा की। इस किताब में यहूदी कम्युनिटी के बारे में बहुत कम मगर कीमती मालूमात मौजूद है।
So this is a book Pakistani Muslim wrote years ago because they were really like it was Jews in them. I even have a video of a guy like who's Pakistani and he's dancing with his best friend who is Jewish. They were both Pakistani and they're like grooving into the bedroom together. But so he wrote a book, Once Upon a Time, who Jews used to be here and what they used to own, what was their heritage, what was a part of them, and what exactly happened to them. If only I could read Urdu. I'm sorry, I know how to read English, but I cannot read Urdu. I would tell you the title of this book. I'll do my best to find it, but I cannot read Urdu. Sorry, subscribers, I wish I could, but can't. This is all written Urdu.
इकबाल-ए-रहमान न सिर्फ मुसन्निफ हैं, बल्कि लियारी में छोटा सा कारोबार भी चला रहे हैं।
लेकिन यहूदी जो है वो कराची में आए हैं जजीरा नुमा कच्छ से। तो ये जो यहूदी थे इंडियन गुजरात से कच्छ में आए, तो कच्छ में जो ज्यादातर जो तीन तरफ से जजीरा नुमा है, तीन तरफ से घिरा हुआ है, सबसे ज्यादा वो माहीगिरी होती है। तो उस जमाने में बिफोर पार्टीशन ये जो थे यहूदी लोग कच्छ की बंदरगाह से कराची में आए और फिर आहिस्ता आहिस्ता यहाँ बस गए। सबसे ज्यादा जो इनकी आबादी थी, जो पोश लोग थे, वो रहते थे रामस्वामी में। इसी तरह से जिस वक्त रक्षोलैंड में जो इलाका मारवाड़ी लाइन कहलाता है, वहाँ शौकत मंजिल थी, वो टोटल उसमें यहूदी रहते थे। उसके उस पर
So Shaukat Manzil is a location in Pakistan. 90% of Shaukat Manzil was Jewish. They used to live here, a place called Shaukat Manzil. And I think when I ever go to Pakistan to see my in-laws, I don't know when exactly, I think I would love to browse here and people don't get suspicious about me. But yeah, Shaukat Manzil is where the Jewish people lived. Right here, he's telling the story. This is where Jewish people lived, Shaukat Manzil.
इस साल तक बना हुआ था। तो ये पूरे इलाके क्रीम यहूदियों के थे। हम जो उस जमाने में शू मार्केट में रहते थे, हमने उस जमाने में यहूदियों को देखा है। हमारी तरह आम लोग थे, कारोबार करते थे, नौकरियां करते थे, उनकी लड़कियां वहां इंडस्ट्रियलों में रहे सीखने आती थी। तो एक नॉर्म
So he's saying that when he used to work, there were Jewish girls who would come to where he worked and like, talk, mess around, do what you're supposed to do, like an ordinary person. But what happened? Yeah, the world's still unaware of what happened to the Jewish community in Muslim worlds. And I keep telling them something big happened to them is the military nationalists who kicked them out over retarded narratives. All to fulfill a stupid narrative of the globe, the Palestinian narrative, and take it out on those who actually live there. But listen away.
हमारे साथ जो कम्युनिटियां रही है उसमें हिंदू भी रहे हैं, पारसी भी रहे हैं, कोरी भी रहे हैं, यहूदी भी रहे हैं, ईसाई भी रहे हैं। जिस सड़क पे मैं खड़ा हूँ यहाँ पे एक यहूदियों की बहुत बड़ी आबादी भी रहा करती थी। उसकी निशानदेही अगर मैं करूँ तो इसी रंसोलैंड बस स्टॉप पर अगर आप जाएंगे तो जो उल्टे हाथ की आखिरी जो बिल्डिंग बनी हुई है वो यहूदियों की मस्जिद थी किसी जमाने में वहाँ। ये
Okay, so let's see if I can go an inch back. So like he's saying there was a basti, like a land where what he's calling masjid, technically means that was the Jewish synagogue. You know how like Muslims can't really say the word synagogue properly. I know I had trouble a little bit as a beginner because I didn't know how to say the word synagogue as great. So and like even I had trouble as a beginner to understand like what a Jewish seminar is, like a seminar or whatever. I still have trouble practicing saying it. It's where Jewish people go for like when they die or whatever, right? So that's basically what he's saying is that this location was where the Jews prayed. Technically, he doesn't mean masjid. He means the Jewish synagogue.
अच्छी में और फिर आहिस्ता आहिस्ता आदत बस गए। सबसे ज्यादा जो इनकी आबादी थी, जो पोश लोग थे, वो रहते थे रामस्वामी में। इसी तरह से जिस वक्त रक्षोलैंड में जो इलाका मारवाड़ी लाइन कहलाता है, वहाँ शौकत मंजिल थी।
I know I went a little bit back, but I want to show you the synagogue.
उस पर डेविड स्टारफ तक बना हुआ था। तो ये पूरे इलाके क्रीम यहूदियों के थे। हम जो उस जमाने में शू मार्केट में रहते थे, हमने उस जमाने में यहूदियों को देखा है। हमारी तरह आम लोग थे, कारोबार करते थे, नौकरियां करते थे, उनकी लड़कियां वहाँ इंडस्ट्रियलों में रहे सीखने आती थी। तो एक नॉर्मल सी जिंदगी थी। हमारे साथ जो कम्युनिटियां रही है।
Okay, yeah, that's the one.
हिंदू भी रहे हैं।
Okay, so this history that he's talking about, I went a little bit back. I went back for a reason so you guys can see the Jewish synagogue. So he's basically saying when Hindus lived here and Parsis would be people from Iran, and there was technically a mixed community because that's how my parents grew up in before these militant jungle nationalists took over and turned it into a junkyard for war. But yeah, so I'll show you the Jewish synagogue. That's when I reminded the video. He's showing it.
कोरी भी रहे हैं, यहूदी भी रहे हैं, ईसाई भी रहे हैं। जिस सड़क पे मैं खड़ा हूँ यहाँ पे एक यहूदियों की बहुत बड़ी आबादी भी रहा करती थी। उसकी निशानदेही अगर मैं करूँ तो इसी रंसोलैंड बस स्टॉप पर अगर आप जाएंगे तो जो उल्टे हाथ की आखिरी जो बिल्डिंग बनी हुई है वो यहूदियों की मस्जिद थी किसी जमाने में वहाँ।
So he's saying on the left, I'm not sure if they're going to show in the clip, on the left there used to be a Jewish synagogue.
ये मस्जिद मैंने 88
See, Pakistan Bini Israel Community Synagogue. And they say, oh, Israel's not in Pakistan. Newsflash. Like, seriously, that's when you know that people erased a lot of history more better than you can imagine. There it is. It says it right there. So Bini Israel community, and this was a synagogue for the Jewish, the Pakistani Jews.
90 तक तो देखी है, 90 के बाद वहां पे वो इमारत बनी है, लेकिन आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जब 1967 की अरबों की एक जंग शुरू हुई इसराइल से, उसके
Okay, so that's where I honestly feel, okay, if you know a famous activist named Anila Ali, that lady is 100% true. And my own mother-in-law is also a witness to this. My parents are witness to this. So after the state took place, like Israel and everything, and the first, like the war after the state took place, we're talking about the wars after the state, not before that. So Arabs are mainly the people who had an issue with Jews, and they kind of just expanded the wars to other people and other Muslim countries to support it, like their military, which is where the Ummah comes from. Oh, your country must support us for the Palestinian cause. And well, the story continues from there, and how things affected local Jews in the Muslim countries. And these are the Muslims who watched the Jews, the stuff changed, which is what they wrote a book about, because they grew up with them, they went to places with them, and how stuff, well, it started to evolve with time. It's unpredictable, but yeah.
पास से आप हम देखें तो 1967 फिर 70 में पाकिस्तान की जंग, फिर 77 में जो है मार्शल लॉ पाकिस्तान में आना,
This guy is the villain of the entire story. This guy is the guy who welcomed Islam, like the political ideology narrative way, into Pakistan. And there were if you study about this guy, his name is Zia. I know I published him before. I published him a couple of times. So he had really big radical rules against the people. And that's when even though I'm not going to talk about Saudi Arabia, even though that's when he made an agreement with Saudi. And so the military's full mission is to follow the Palestinian retarded narrative. You notice how the military say, in the name of Islam, we need to die and we are going to get shaheed to get Palestinian a state. That's a narrative, but that's not the Muslim history itself. Nowhere close, because the Jews lived there, Jews had their properties, Jews had everything. As soon as this narrative, as the guy is saying, took place into the country, chaos started. And I'm glad I published this on my Twitter, because now it's time to open up the cherries that people are publishing false stuff, and all these militant radical organizations like the TLP and all these other radical groups are trying to punch a militant narrative. Oh, in the name of this, we need to for the Palestinian state, and we need to die, we need to get shaheed for it. And they took it out on the local citizens. And those were the times that there were Pakistani Hindus too, just like the guy said. They were Christians and Yahud, and the question is, so exactly what happened to them?
होते 86 में जो है एक लसानी तंजीम का वजूद में आना, और उस तंजीम के प्लेटफॉर्म से जो है यहाँ पे चाइना कटिंग की बातें होना, और ये बातें तो उसी चाइना कटिंगों में उसी
China cutting. I wonder what that rings a bell. So these military organizations, literally militant organizations, started to make things with, like, places like China and things like that. This was not Pakistan's history at all when it started with the people, as this guy said. If only I could publish that book. And I knew the title of it. I'll ask Anila if she can give me the title, because she can read Urdu, and maybe I'll be able to publish the book that the guy wrote in Pakistan history when Jews lived there. So he's saying after that war for the Palestinian, after 1947 and 1968, I think he said, that's when they burned the Jewish synagogue. Or there it is. People should take a picture of it. I'm going to take a picture of this later. It's called the Pakistani Bini Israel Community Megam Shalom Synagogue, Karachi. It was literally in Karachi, my hometown where my in-laws from. It was in Karachi. Pakistani Bini Israel Community Synagogue. So if they say like, oh, but Israel's not this, that, here's your proof. Bini Israel is in the Quran, and it literally says this there, Megan Shalom Synagogue, Karachi, that they killed. The military organization killed for the stupid, retarded Palestinian narrative. They killed, the military destroyed this synagogue.
यहूदियों की मस्जिद खत्म करके एक इमारत बना दी गई है,
उस इबादत गाह में जाकर हम लोग बचपन में मिड 70 75 76 और 77 में.
What are you doing? So the Muslims are saying we used to go to that synagogue and play while the Jews used to be there, pretty much play with them and spend time with them and their childhoods from there before it was completely destroyed by the military. Yeah, that's what he's saying. We used to go there since as children and used to play in there till it was, well, destroyed. I'm going to forward this ad. We're not going to watch that. So interesting stuff not many people know about.
1973 की में अरब इसराइल जंग, हम लोग बच्चे थे, लोकल पे खेल रहे थे, पाकिस्तान मस्जिद के पास अचानक कुछ मजहबी गिरोह आए और इस इबादत गाह पर हमला करने की कोशिश की.
So here it is. Here's the synagogue, another one, Pakistan Bini Israel community. So when they say, oh, like, which content creator told me that? He was a Muslim. That acting like, oh, Israel's not part of the Jews. Well, why is Bini Israel community label in Pakistan? This is the name that is also in the Quran, and Pakistan did make all of the stuff based on the Quran. Bini Israel's in the Quran, and they gave Jewish synagogues places to worship until that military commander showed up, who I hate the most because he's the main key to radicalize the Pakistanis. That's not Pakistan's history, what we live in today. That's a junkyard made by the military. This is Pakistan's real history with the Jews.
मुझे याद है हम लोग तकरीबन 8 साल या 9 साल का मैं था उस वक्त शेलिंग हुई, आंसू गैस वगैरह सब कुछ हुए, भागदौड़ मची, उसके बाद फौज आ गई. So he's saying we've seen the Jews get attacked. They destroyed their synagogue, the military organization after I would say the third war, was it? The third war in like the state of Israel and the third war that the Arabs got into. So all these radical people adopted the narrative because the military commander, supported the Arabs, which is the dumbest mistake that Pakistanis has ever welcomed into their lives for supporting a thing. Now they're stuck into a dump hole for their entire life. Same for Gaza. Gaza welcomed Hamas, and for a narrative, Gaza, you are stuck for the rest of your life, just like all the other Muslim countries. So they destroyed the synagogue, they destroyed everything, and that's what you see here, which technically Pakistan transformed into now. They killed the synagogue, they destroyed everything, and these Muslims saw the changes that Pakistan started to evolve. वहां पर पुलिस का पहरा रहने लगा, इनकी इबादत गाह पर जो हम खेलने जाते थे हमें भी इजाजत नहीं मिली. उसके बाद
So he's saying that the military took control of the Jewish property where they used to go play, and they were not even allowed to go there. The Muslims were not. Muslims were not even allowed to go over here at all. They weren't allowed to trespass. They weren't allowed to enter. They were not allowed to do anything. When before the military, Muslims used to play around the Jewish synagogues, and the Jewish children would come to their shops, and Jews also holded shops, which basically what he's saying. So yeah, interesting stuff that not many people know about, but yes.
उसके बाद कुछ हालात बदले, सियासी हवाले से मजहबी और ये अपनी लसारी तंगी में पवार चली, आहिस्ता आहिस्ता इस उनकी इबादत गाह को तोड़ने लग गए और यकायक देखा गया कि वो वहाँ पर एक बहुत बड़ा खुला फसादी था. उसी के इख्तिलाफ में बहुत से यहूदी आबाद इस इलाके में शौकत मंजिल के नाम से जो.
So he's now talking about the location where the Jews lived. The Shaukat Manzil is where the Jews lived. Like I said, if I ever go with my husband, I'm going to have to check this place out. So now he's talking about the Shaukat Manzil and what did they do to the Jews over there while living there.
गिराई जा चुकी है. तकरीबन पता है कि 35 से 40 भवन है, बहुत बड़ी बिल्डिंग थी. वही हमारे से कुछ क्रिश्चियंस हैं.
शकील सलावत और शाहिद अमीन फरीद जिस यहूदी का जिक्र कर रहे हैं, वो मेरी तहकीक के मुताबिक इसराइल ट्रस्ट की आखिरी ट्रस्टी रेचल जोसेफ थी, जो अपनी इबादत गाह.
Oh, does anybody know Rachel Joseph? I'm not sure if anybody does. So now they are talking about Rachel Joseph. I think he said she's from Israel or something. I don't remember what exactly he said, but you saw the famous name Rachel Joseph, and how does she connect here?
में झाड़ू लगाती और मगरिब के बाद इबादत गाह से गली मोहल्ले के बच्चों को बाहर जाने को कहती थी. यहूदियों की ये इबादतगाह रनछोड़ लाइन के नश्तर रोड पर 1893 में कायम हुई थी। कराची के यहूदी खानदान सिर्फ गुजरात ही से नहीं बल्कि ईरान, अफगानिस्तान और इराक से होते हुए यहाँ पहुंचे।
And I've said that before. People did not believe me because of the language. Here's the map. Iran, Afghanistan, and Iraq. Jews did come to Pakistan, and people did not believe me. No, they did not. Yes, and they pretty much helped out with the community, and they adopted the language that not many people know about, but yes.
ये तालीम याफ्ता थे और इनका रहन सहन ईरानी नजात पारसियों से मिलता जुलता था। ज्यादातर यहूदी मुलाजमत पेशा थे, मगर कुछ अरसे के बाद ये शहर की तिजारती और मुआशी जिंदगी का हिस्सा बन गए। सहाफी शीमा सदीकी, जो कराची की तारीख गहरी दिलचस्पी रखती हैं, इनकी रिसर्च के मुताबिक अंग्रेज सरकार ने सिंध की पहली मर्दमशुमारी 1881 में करवाई।
मर्दमशुमारी जब पहली दफा हुई है तो उसके अंदर हमें मिलता है रिकॉर्ड कुछ 400 के अंदर यहूदी पॉपुलेशन हमें मिलता है साइज। फिर 91 में फिर दोबारा एक पॉपुलेशन हमें मिलती है जब सेंसस की रिपोर्ट है।
So she's saying this is when the Jews, like amount of Jewish community had arrived to Pakistan, whether it's big or small, they slowly throughout the years they started to come here. Now if somebody tells you, oh, but the Jews didn't live here, that's a lie. They immigrated from places like Iraq, Afghanistan, and Iran. So they were allowed to come, and they were allowed to have rights throughout time until that retarded guy showed up, the military commander who changed Pakistan forever under a military narrative. But yeah,
जो कराची गजेट के नाम से आता था उसमें मौजूद है। तो उसमें मौजूद है कि वो तकरीबन शायद क्रॉस कर गए थे 500 समथिंग कुछ के। लास्ट हमारी पॉपुलेशन 41 में हुई है, उसमें भी यानी आ रहा है कि 2000 के अंदर इनका कम्युनिटी साइज था।
With base 44.
So it's interesting, not many people, even Muslims, don't know this history, that Jews lived with them, but the military retards started to kill them.
मैं यहाँ दोबारा रहमीम के बेटे मदद ज़ैद का जिक्र करना चाहूँगा, जो उमर ख़याम के रंग में डूबा हुआ था। मदद की शख्सियत और इसकी शादी का किस्सा मेरे दिल में उसे तलाश करने की ख्वाहिश को मजीद गहरा कर चुका था। मेरी रहमीम यहूदी के खानदान में खास दिलचस्पी इसलिए भी थी कि शायद ये वो आखिरी यहूदी खानदान था जिसने पाकिस्तान को अलविदा कहा। और ये
this is gonna make me emotional too. So this journalist, who's a Muslim, he was on a hunt for the last Jewish family in Pakistan and on a destiny to find them before they were thrown out. And that's what he's technically saying, that so the last Jewish family that is left, he was on a goal to look for them before they were thrown out of the country, thanks to the military narrative.
यही वो खानदान है जो मेरे कई सवालों का जवाब दे सकता है। रहमीम अपनी फैमिली के साथ अब्दुल्ला हारून रोड की एक इमारत के दूसरे फ्लोर पर रहता था। ये इमारत आज भी अपनी जगह पर कायम है, मगर इसका दूसरा वीरान फ्लोर माजी की यादों और गुजरे वक्त का खामोश गवाह बनकर खड़ा है। रफीक सेंटर के ताजरों ने अपने 30-40 साल पुराने यहूदी साथी मदद ज़ैद का राब्ता नंबर खो दिया था। थोड़ी जुस्तजू के बाद मैंने मदद के छोटे भाई इमैनुअल का नंबर ढूंढ निकाला। कराची में पैदा होने वाले 63 साला इमैनुअल मदद आजकल इसराइल के शहर तल अवीव में अपनी जिंदगी गुजार रहे हैं। जब मैंने इमैनुअल से पूछा कराची कैसा लगता था, तो फौरन उनके लबों पर मुस्कुराहट फैल गई। कैसी यादें हैं पाकिस्तान के साथ आपकी?
So that is a Muslim right there, and that's the Jew that I showed in the beginning, and he's asking the Jewish guy in Urdu, so like, how do you miss your memories in Pakistan? And you're going to hear that as a yes, because there's many Jews who did live there, as much as people are like, oh, it's this Zionist regime. Oh, it's this Zionist regime in a terrorist state, Israel. That is a myth. That's all bullshit. Bini Israel synagogues existed in Pakistan before that stupid, retarded military leader arrived and radicalized by a narrative, which is a retarded narrative. This is Pakistan's real history with the Jews versus a retarded narrative.
पाकिस्तान अगर छोड़ना नहीं होता तो आज तक नहीं छोड़ते। पाकिस्तान जैसा कोई दुनिया में मुल्क ही नहीं है।
He's saying, if it were for me, I would never leave Pakistan. That's how badly I loved it. I had great memories with the people. I enjoyed where I lived. I enjoyed the food. I enjoyed everything. If it were I would come back. And there, it's an emotional scene. But yes, that's pretty much what it's saying. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But every Muslim who knows start to finish know how Pakistan started to turn into a dump hole, and it's a military to blame. I curse the military. Either shake hands with Israel, and I'm going to watch Pakistan's karma as a Muslim. I want to see Pakistanis learn their damn lesson based on where they bought the country. I honestly, I'm ready to watch their karma if they fall. But yeah, this is the true history of the Jews. So he's saying that I would never leave to Israel if I was never thrown out.
वो तो हमारे पॉलिटिशियनों ने खराब कर दिया, वरना वन ऑफ द बेस्ट प्लेसेस ऑन अर्थ।
कराची के साहिल, बाजार और खुशबुओं में लिपटी वो हसीन शामें इमैनुअल के दिल के निहा खानों में आज भी जिंदा है।
कराची कैसा था, लोग कैसे थे, उनका बर्ताव कैसा था?
और बहुत अच्छा था, यानी आप बिलीव नहीं कर सकते, जो रिस्पेक्ट तो बहुत था। असल हमारे सैटरडेज को हम काम नहीं करते हैं तो कोई हमारे को फोन नहीं करता था, कोई मिलने नहीं आता था, हमको पता था कि वी आर ऑन हॉलीडे। तो एक बहुत सुपर, यानी बहुत अच्छा था। जितने भी हमारे काम वाले भी थे तो जिनसे हम कालीन का काम करते थे, ऑल लाइक फैमिली।
अच्छा, वो मार्केट जहाँ पे आपका घर था वो आपको याद है? वो
अरे यार, मैं रोज उस बिल्डिंग को देखता हूँ, अब्दुल्ला आजम रोड के वीडियो। वो उसके सामने हाशू सेंटर है, जल गया था तो मैं काफी देखा। सामने अभी पटेल हॉस्पिटल था, वहाँ पे।
So he's talking about how he used to walk from his apartment building and see, like, the stuff open up in front of his eyes every morning, and people go to work by walking. Some took cars, but people would walk. And yeah, how did the wife feel before the military burnt it? But yeah,
पारसी कॉलोनी थी, बाद में हाशू सेंटर बन गया, वरना पूरा वो पारसी कॉलोनी थी। सामने हमारा अभी पटेल हॉस्पिटल था।
So there used to be a Farsi area too, as in Farsi would be like the Persian people. Farsis, there used to be a Persian area too in Pakistan, but the question is, oh gee, what happened to it? The same as the Ayatollah would have done to Iran, the retarded military paid a couple of bucks. Why not destroy it? Ridiculous, but true.
नीचे हमारा कैफे सीना था जिसमें हम बहुत सारे खाने मंगाते। सामने हमारा स्कूल था, फिर कपूर चैम्बर्स भी सामने था, और नीचे 2-3।
So this is a Jewish school right here. What you see right here, it's probably, I'll be surprised if it's still there, or did the military burn it again? This is a Jewish school.
पाकिस्तान के सारे सिनेमा हाउसेस जो बेस्ट थे वो सब हमारे घर के पीछे ही थे। काला बम्बीनो, अपना लायरिक, निशाद, प्रिंस, कैप्री, नाज, सब सामने ही थे।
कौन सी फिल्म देखी जो अभी भी आपको याद है? किस सिनेमा में देखी थी आप?
अनमोल was the best. नदीम व शबनम।
So here's something interesting that people are probably going to find it a little bit different. So Jews from Pakistan, even India, and somewhat from Iran Farsi, because they speak the Persian language, which is Farsi, they all watched movies like this, like Bollywood movies that mainly come from India, but oldest of all movies. You notice the language, you'll notice where it's from. But yeah.
What if I could build an app that works?
So, like, not many people know this history, but this is the real history of what happened to the Jews in Pakistan.
इमैनुअल ने बताया कि 1946 में उनके वालिद रहमीम ने अफगानिस्तान से पाकिस्तान हिजरत की। ये महज एक नकल मकानी नहीं थी, बल्कि नई उम्मीदों, ख्वाबों और एक बेहतर मुस्तकबिल की तलाश का सफर था। 1958 में उनके वालिद की शादी हुई और उस वक्त कराची में तकरीबन 508 यहूदी खानदान मुकीम थे, यानी तकरीबन 2000 यहूदी कराची में आबाद थे। इससे पहले यहूदी बरादरी की अक्सरियत इसराइल के क़याम के साथ ही कराची से इसराइल मुंतकिल हो चुकी थी। 1967 में अरब ममालिक और इसराइल के दरमियान 6 रोज़ा जंग शुरू हुई। इसराइल ने 6 दिनों में मिस्र से सहराए सीना, उर्दन से मगरबी किनारे और मशरकी यरूशलेम के साथ शाम से गोलान की
because of the Palestinian narrative. Just monitor the wars and the problems that the Palestinian had. So remember when I said that the real issue didn't just start from like early 1900s. That was the militant nationalists who invaded the Muslim lands, just like how this documentary showed that which militant weirdo invaded Pakistan. That's the same thing for all the other Muslim countries. When the militant nationalists showed up, they invaded and they literally destroyed everything that even Muslims who grew up with the Jews, they were not allowed to trespass or they'd be killed for it, just like how the documentary said. So same here. So as the time grew and grew, like the wars between Israel and Palestine, the military got stronger and stronger because people would sell them the narrative to turn against Jews. And that's, well, what happened to the Jews in Muslim countries, or sold a narrative, but that's not the true history behind the doors. And it just said how many Jews every year used to come from Afghanistan, Iraq, and then when Pakistan took independence, more Jews showed up.
की पहाड़ियां भी छीन ली। ये इलाके इसराइल के लिए नई दिफाई पोजीशन बन गए और इसकी जोग्राफियाई हैसियत मजीद मजबूत हो गई। इन कशीदा हालात ने कराची में बसने वाले यहूदियों की जिंदगियों पर भी बुरा असर डालना शुरू किया। फिर एक दिन अमेरिकी सफारत खाने से कुछ लोग आते हैं और यहूदियों को टिकट थमाकर कश्तियों के जरिए अमेरिका, भारत और दीगर ममालिक मुंतकिल कर देते हैं।
Okay, so after the military took over and invaded, and throughout time, what they started to do is they started to send the Jews, like the more and more Israel-Palestine conflict grew, the more and more Jews were thrown out of Muslim countries, thanks to the nationalist militants taking their anger out on the Jews, who are local Pakistanis, by the way, all to support the retarded Palestinian narrative, when they lived the same hell that happened to the Muslim world years ago by welcoming something called Hamas. So then the Jews started to go to places like Israel, America, and all the Muslim countries slowly started to like throw them out. That's what these guys are saying. Once upon a time, part of us, and thanks to military retards, started to expose the Jews. How nice, not?
कराची से यहूदियों की नकल मकानी के बाद पारसी बरादरी के अफराद ने इनकी इमलाक की देखभाल की। कराची में यहूदियों की आबादी कम थी, मगर शहर के समाजी और तजारती ढांचे में उनकी मौजूदगी एक तारीखी हकीकत के तौर पर दर्ज है। शहर के अव्वलीन और मुमताज आर्किटेक्ट्स में शुमार होने वाले मोसिस सुमाके ने शहर में कई अहम इमारतों की डिजाइनिंग की। इनके बनाए गए अहम तरीन तामीरात में कायद आज़म का फ्लैग स्टाफ हाउस, BVS पारसी स्कूल, खालिद दीना हॉल और इस जैसी मशहूर कई इमारतें शामिल हैं। मोसिस की खासियत ये थी कि वो अपनी हर इमारत में कहीं न कहीं एक छुपी हुई जगह पर अपना नाम कुंदा करते थे, जिसका किसी को इल्म ना होता। मोसिस सुमाके सितंबर 1922 में बरतानिया मुंतकिल हो गए थे, लेकिन उनकी आर्किटेक्चर खिदमात आज भी कराची की शनाख्त का हिस्सा हैं।
इस शख्सियत के अजीज़ो अकारिब ने कराची से रवाबित कैसे बहाल किए? आर्किटेक्ट मोसिस सुमाके के खानदान को कराची से मुतारिफ करवाने वाला शख्स कौन था? ये एक दिलचस्प कहानी है और इस कहानी का जिक्र मैं थोड़ी देर बाद करूंगा। 2008 में रुमाना हुसैन।
So we are up to 2008. Remember, like from wars and going down, what happened to the Jews in Muslim countries? We are all the way down to 2008.
अपनी किताब कराची वाला पर काम कर रही थी। इस दौरान इन्हें कराची के यहूदियों के बारे में जानने का तजस्सुस हुआ और वो ये मालूम करने की कोशिश कर रही थी कि क्या आज भी कराची में यहूदी मौजूद हैं, लेकिन तमाम कोशिशों के बावजूद वो नाकाम रही।
So what he's saying is that there was a journalist who came to Pakistan to find out how many Jews are left in Pakistan, and she was unsuccessful because the military would never tell the truth, because they're the main victim cards who kind of killed them, burned their synagogues, everything, and threw them out. So whenever she would try to find evidence what happened to the Jews in Pakistan, she was always unsuccessful, and nobody would say one damn thing what happened to them, except for certain Muslims who didn't know the full story. But then, of course, the new policy, you expose the truth, the military will kill you, just like how that man said that we were not even allowed to go to a Jewish synagogue and play. When they played every day of their entire life, well, the Jews prayed and the Muslims would go there to play, and Jewish children would come to Muslim shops and things like that. They even got married. Yeah.
लेकिन फिर एक दिन वो दी यरूशलेम पोस्ट में शाया होने वाला एक मजमून पढ़ती हैं जिसका उन्वान था Because there are no Jews in Pakistan. ये मजमून डेविड हॉवर्ड्स ने 12 सितंबर 2008 को लिखा.
Right. So as I'm explaining, as the time flies, when you try to find out what happened to them, these militant, hypocritical cowards, or more like frauds, hide this story because they're the main victims who did get rid of the Jews for this. Let me repeat myself, or say in a most historical way. In the name of Palestini, hum shaheed ho jayenge, and we are going to fulfill the Palestini duty, the military retarded narrative, and destroy Muslim lands for Palestini. That's what happened.
जिसमें वो सदर परवेज मुशर्रफ के दौर में इसराइल के साथ ताल्लुकात की नरमी का जिक्र करते हुए इसहाक मूसा आखिर नामी एक शख्स की कहानी सुनाते हैं. इसहाक मूसा ने दी यरूशलेम पोस्ट अखबार को ईमेल के जरिए बताया कि वो कराची के एक अस्पताल में डॉक्टर हैं और उनका ताल्लुक सिफारती यहूदी बरादरी से है. उन्होंने ये भी इंकिशाफ किया कि कराची में तकरीबन 10 यहूदी खानदान रहते हैं जो 200 साल से यहाँ मुकीम है. ताहम ये खानदान.
Wow, he got loud. So like he just said that in 2008 a person worked in a hospital, Ishaq. You know that Ishaq dude that I yell at the politician on Twitter? Ishaq. So he used to work in the hospital at the time, was a politician leader. And in 2008, 200,000 Jews lived in this area. 200,000 Jews. And now the question is, what happened to them? Every time you ask them what happened, the cowards run.
गुमनामी में जिंदगी गुजारने को तरजीह देते हैं और किसी किस्म की अवामी शनाख्त से इज्तनाब करते हैं. ये मजमून पढ़कर रोमाना हुसैन का तजस्सुस मजीद बढ़ जाता है. फिर वो डेविड को एक ईमेल लिखती हैं जिसमें वो इसहाक मूसा आखिर के बारे में मजीद मालूमात जानने की कोशिश करती हैं. हैरत अंगेज तौर पर डेविड हॉवर्ड्स ने उन्हें जवाब दिया जो इनकी तहकीक को एक नया मोड़ दे देता है.
Atera is the IT painkiller. Remote monitoring and management, remote access, help desk and ticketing.
तो उस आर्टिकल में जिक्र था एक डॉक्टर इसहाक मूसा आखिर का जो कराची में रहते हैं. आर्टिकल में ये लिखा हुआ था और वो आर्टिकल लिखा था डेविड हॉरोविट्स ने. तो मुझे बहुत ज्यादा मैं खुश हो गई कि अच्छा ये जो भी साहब हैं और जिन्होंने भी लिखा है और डेविड हॉरोविट्स का ईमेल एड्रेस भी दिया हुआ था. तो मैंने उनको लिखा कि इस तरह से है और मैं ये रिसर्च कर रही हूँ और अपने शहर के बारे में मुख्तलिफ कम्युनिटीज के बारे में लिख रही हूँ. तो प्लीज आप मुझे उन साहब का जिनका जिक्र आपने किया है अपने आर्टिकल में, मुझे उनका कॉन्टैक्ट दे दें. तो उन्होंने मना किया कि नहीं, मैं कांटेक्ट तो नहीं दे सकता उनका, लेकिन मैं एडिटर इन चीफ हूँ जेरूसलम पोस्ट का और मैं उसमें आपका लेटर छाप सकता हूँ कि आपने ये क्वेरी की है. तो हो सकता है कि फिर आपसे लोग राब्ता करें. और उन्होंने मतलब 2 रोज में ही मेरा वो खत उसमें पब्लिश कर दिया, मुझे उसका लिंक भेजा उन्होंने और उसके बाद मुझे कुछ लोगों के ईमेल्स आए.
पहली ईमेल इसराइल के शहर रिहोवेट से आई और यही वो ईमेल थी जिसने कराची में बसने वाले नामवर यहूदियों की कहानियां दोबारा जिंदा कर दी. ये ईमेल जोनाथन मार्टिन.
So she wrote to the journalist, and the journalist from Jerusalem Post wrote to her to revive Jewish history again in Karachi. But the question it would be, did it last? So she tried to publish Jewish history that once took place in Karachi, which is what those guys were laughing together because that's where the Jews lived, in Karachi, not just that other location. I forgot the place. Like I said, I'm not from Pakistan. I could only speak the language, but Pakistani due to parents. So after she tried to revive the Jewish history in Karachi, the question would be, did it last? Let's find out. I guarantee is a no, because if it did revive, we would see some Jews today. And now Pakistan has like what, a calculation. How many Jews? I barely don't even know, but definitely lower than 100.
की तरफ से आई थी, जो कभी खुद तो कराची नहीं आए थे, लेकिन उन्होंने अपने वालिदैन और दादा दादी से इस शहर के बारे में बेशुमार कहानियां सुनी थी। इनके खानदान का कराची से गहरा ताल्लुक था। मॉडल के मुताबिक उनका खानदान मुमकिना तौर पर कराची में आबाद यूरोपीय यहूदियों की एक छोटी मगर अहम बरादरी का हिस्सा था। सबसे दिलचस्प बात यह थी कि इस खानदान ने कराची को 4 शानदार रेलवे होटल्स फराहम किए, जिन्होंने शहर की मेहमान नवाजी और होटल इंडस्ट्री में अहम मुकाम हासिल किया।
और उन्होंने लिखा कि मेरे परदादा और मेरे दादा दादी, उनके 4 रेलवे होटल्स कराची में थे। तो मैं तो कभी कराची नहीं गया।
So these hotels were built by Jews in Pakistan that she's talking about. And the guy's great-great-grandfather and all these people, these hotels were built by Jews in Karachi. Now, the military is not going to tell you that shit, because military is the one who tried to destroy the Jewish history. But, well, these guys tried to revive it, that Jews were there because they migrated from Pakistan. Before Pakistan's independence, they migrated from Iran, Afghanistan, Iraq, and yes, there were many Muslims who lived together at the time. So the hotel after Pakistan's independence and things like that, and when they built the hotel. So yeah, listen away.
लेकिन उन लोगों से सबसे मैंने कराची के बारे में बहुत सुना है, और 4 होटल, ब्रिस्टल होटल भी उसमें शामिल है और किलर्नी होटल भी उसमें शामिल है, ग्रेट वेस्टर्न होटल और किलर्नी होटल.
Yeah, of course, Western Hotel. Remember when Jews were forced to go to, like, after Muslim countries, they're all forced to go to Christian countries. But yeah, that's another day to talk about. But yeah, so a Western type hotel, all these hotels were built by Jews.
इन्होंने कहा कि मेरे ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स, मेरे दादी दादा का था, और वो किलर्नी जो है वो रशियन कॉन्सुलेट बना और अब वहां पर एक स्कूल है. और जो किलर्नी होटल था वो वहां से रीलोकेट हुआ था, जो किलर्नी होटल मार्डर्स पैलेस कहलाता था. तो आपको याद होगा कि कराची में एक पैलेस होटल होता था, जो बाद में शेरेटन बना, जो बाद में मोवेनपिक बना. तो वो उसी जगह ये इनके दादी दादा का ये होटल था.
So what they did is, where the Jews built the hotel, they replaced their own hotel to claim that, oh, they built it. So if you remember the names in these videos, the where the Sheraton Hotel took place in Pakistan, just like how the lady says, before the Sheraton Hotel used to be a Jewish hotel. The 3 names that she mentioned in here, I'm going to write them down in the description box. Those 3 hotels were built by Jews. So they terminated the hotels built by dear Jews and their families and their great-great-grandfathers, and, well, replaced it with their own.
ज्यादातर सफर रेल से होता था उस जमाने में, तो जो ट्रेन से आते हैं तो वो वहां पर ठहर सकें वो लोग.
वो आर्किटेक्ट मोसेस सुमाके जो अपनी इमारतों में हुस्न की तख्लीक के बाद अपना नाम कहीं न कहीं कोने में कुंदा करते थे. आप जानते हैं कि
So this guy is the main villain to the story right here. If everybody can see him on my Moses Sumak, and this guy who's from Karachi times to the times of Israel, and like what happened to Jewish history in Pakistani territories.
गुमनाम आर्किटेक्ट मोसेस सुमाके को एक बार फिर कराची से मुतारिफ करवाने वाला शख्स कौन था? जी हाँ, वो थे जोनाथन मार्डर, जिन्होंने इसराइल के शहर रेहोट से रुमाना हुसैन को पहली ईमेल भेजी थी. ऑर्डर के मुताबिक उनके वालिद की फूफी की शादी मोसेस सुमाके से हुई थी, और मोसेस सुमाके एक इराकी यहूदी थे. जोनाथन मार्डर ने रुमाना हुसैन को मोसेस सुमाके की पोतियों मैरी केजर और डेवरीन किरण से भी मेल के जरिए मुतारिफ करवाया था.
Smart founders know something most people miss. Get your domain name even if you're not ready to launch your business. With
एक और साहिबा ने मुझे लिखा, ज़ेविया एप्स्टाइन उनका नाम, और ये लोग रहते थे मनोरा. इन्होंने ये बताया था कि हमारा बहुत बड़ा सा मकान था मनोड़ा में, और वो ड्राई डॉक्स के पास, और नीचे वर्कशॉप्स थे, यानी बोट्स वगैरह के लिए वर्कशॉप थे नीचे, और हम लोग ऊपर रहते थे, मगर बहुत ही बड़ा मकान था हमारा। उनके जो वालिद थे आरोन ससून बेंजामिन, वो डिप्टी मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर थे केपीटी, और इनके भाई बॉम्बे के पोर्ट ट्रस्ट के मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर थे, यानी दोनों भाई, एक कराची में और एक बॉम्बे में। अच्छा, तो इन्होंने लिखा कि मुझे जिविया ने, कि बहुत ही एक मैजिकल सा हमारा जो बचपन था, क्योंकि हम बोट से केमाड़ी आते थे, और फिर हम स्कूल की बस होती थी हमारी, कराची ग्रामर स्कूल की, और हमें स्कूल ले जाती थी। तो मैंने अपना कैम्ब्रिज पूरा वहां से किया, फिर मैं कराची यूनिवर्सिटी गई इंग्लिश डिपार्टमेंट से, वहां से मैंने बीए किया। ओ लेवल्स इन्होंने किया 1957 में, और ए लेवल्स इन्होंने किया फिर 1959 में। तो ये उनकी कहानी थी, लेकिन इन्होंने कहा कि मैं फिर 1964 में 1964 में मैं यूके चली गई आगे, और भी मुझे आगे और पढ़ना था। फिर मेरी जो फैमिली थी वहां से, जो केमाड़ी पे घर था, वहां से गांधी गार्डन आ गए, जो गार्डन का एरिया है वहां हमारा घर था, वहां पर आ गए।
कराची को हमेशा के लिए छोड़ जाने वाले यहूदियों की याद में जो सड़कें और स्ट्रीट्स के
So he's saying that once upon a time that the Jews who used to play in Karachi, help build it up, keep it clean, they were forced to leave, but some of the Muslims still remember their memory today, what they have done for Karachi. Remember when I reviewed that even though a lot of the Muslims have low IQ today, they're living an illusion for the military narrative, which is not true. I've said this before and I'll say it again, that the Jews helped build the Muslim countries. They were there before these militant nationalists arrived. They helped build the community. They helped build education. They helped build medicines for children, and a lot of other stuff, and keep it clean and organized. And that's exactly what you're listening to right now in the statement from Pakistani Muslims, that the Jews who helped build the country and how they were forced to leave.
नाम रखे गए थे वो भी वक्त के साथ मिट गए।
उनके जो उस जमाने में,
he's saying that even the places that the Jews named in like Pakistan, the organizations, they changed the name and replaced those organizations. All these militant nationalists deleted, erased Jewish history and replaced everything that is linked to them. So people in Pakistan would think today, oh, we made everything. Or in Iraq, we made everything. The Muslims did, the Jews didn't. Or places like Syria, oh, we did everything. You get a book, you match the locations, you be like, if this used to be this, why is it replaced? And I told you, the militant nationalists deleted every single history that is linked to the Jews in all Muslim countries, but that is not the whole story. The real criminal to all these locations, as Hamas is today, is the militant nationalists. They have one concept. In the name of Palestinian, we are going to get Shaheed, which means I'm going to die in the Palestinian cause, and well, they do whatever. When it comes to Islamic, I have multiple questions for them. Why do they support China? But that's another day. But yeah.
रहनुमा थे सोलोमन डेविड, जिन्होंने इनकी इबादतगाह भी बनाई, तो वो गली उन्हीं से मंसूब थी, सोलोमन डेविड स्ट्रीट कहलाती थी। बचपन में हमारे हम यही देखते थे। फिर जब यहाँ सड़क के नाम तब्दील करने की हवा चली, तो इस गली का नाम सुलेमान दाऊद स्ट्रीट कर दिया गया। इसी तरह से वहाँ एक मोसेस समोआ की स्ट्रीट थी, उसका नाम बाद में पहले उसका नाम मूसा जी स्ट्रीट कर दिया गया। तो ये इस तरह की चेंजेस यहाँ आई।
Right here. Oh man, another ad. I can't stand these ads.
This is how easy it is to buy shares of properties on Real Bricks. You can scroll down to a property that you're interested in.
Right here. So as it says right here, I'm going to go a little bit, just an inch back. And play it.
में जो सड़कें और स्ट्रीट्स के नाम रखे गए थे वो भी वक्त के साथ मिट गए।
इनके जो उस जमाने में रहनुमा थे सोलोमन डेविड, जिन्होंने इनकी इबादतगाह भी बनाई।
So he's talking about King David from the Quran. Solomon David, as in King David from Jerusalem days. That is Solomon mean David, as in David. King Solomon David. He's talking about King David.
तो वो गली उन्हीं से मंसूब थी, सोलोमन.
So there was a name in Pakistan dedicated to King David, which has been erased, by the way. I'm letting everybody know, any Pakistani listening to me, there was a street in Pakistan specifically dedicated to the name King David.
और डेविड स्ट्रीट कहलाती थी. बचपन में हमारे हम यही देखते थे. फिर जब यहाँ सड़क के नाम तब्दील करने की हवा चली, तो इस गली का नाम सुलेमान दाऊद स्ट्रीट कर दिया गया. इसी तरह से हमारी मोसेस समौट स्ट्रीट थी, उसका नाम बाद में पहले उसका नाम मूसा जी स्ट्रीट कर दिया गया. तो ये इस तरह की चेंजेस यहाँ आई.
See, in Karachi, there are no living Jews, but the graves in Maba Shah and Kachamaman, and telling the secret history of the Jewish people who took place in Karachi, which unexpectedly is my in-laws' house. It's heartbreaking to watch this, but yeah.
Vice President Jewish Community of Karachi. Karachi की Jewish community के.
That's a Muslim coming to a Jewish cemetery. Vice President of Karachi. He was a Jewish leader who died, and a Muslim showing his history right there.
तो वाइस प्रेसिडेंट की कब्र है ये कब्र है जूइश कम्युनिटी के प्रेसिडेंट की. अब ये कब्र ऊपर से खुली हुई भी है. वो जो मैं आपको बता रहा था ना, कब्रों पर आपको 3 लैंग्वेजेस मिलेंगी. अब ये देखें, टॉप पर हिब्रू, इब्रानी जबान, ये मराठी जबान, और अब इस ग्रेव पर आ जाएं, ये इंग्लिश लिखी हुई है. अब ये कब्र उस बंदे की है जिसने कराची में यहूदियों की इबादतगाह बनवाई थी.
He's showing that the Jewish president who gave rights to the Jewish people in Karachi, which the Muslims knew about, and well, you wonder how did they die, which the military is not going to tell you, and he's now explaining who were these people in early times of Pakistan.
सिनेगोग, उसको बनी इसराइल मस्जिद कहते थे. अब ये सारी डिटेल है कि उस बंदे ने अपने खर्चे पर बनवाई थी, और उस बंदे का नाम था सोलोमन डेविड. ये सर्वेयर थे कराची के. और ये जो कब्र है, ये उनकी बीवी की कब्र है. इन लविंग मेमोरी ऑफ शीलो बाई, बिलवड वाइफ ऑफ मिस्टर सोलोमन डेविड.
कराची में यहूदी कम्युनिटी का तालीमी मैदान में किरदार निहायत अहम रहा है.
मेरा एडमिशन हुआ है डुफलत हाई स्कूल में 1962 में. जब हम इनिशियल क्लासेस में गए हैं तो हमारी टीचर यहूदी थी. एक मिस मरोली थी जो पियानो पे हमको ABCD या 1.
So he's saying that when they used to go to school and education, the teachers were Jewish. And since, as I said before, I'll say it again, yes, Jews used to educate Islam as well because of the values and similarities Judaism and Islam hold it. So 90% before Jews were thrown out of Muslim countries thanks to the militant nationalists, they used to educate religion, educate Muslim children, and educate like the values that both of the traditions have together.
2, 3 और म्यूजिक पढ़ाया करती थी. एक मिस सोफी थी और एक मिस एनी थी. ये तीनों जूइश थे और ये बहुत अच्छे टीचर्स थे. और मिस एनी तो ऐसी थी कि हर स्टूडेंट चाहता था कि उनकी क्लास टीचर जो है वो मिस एनी हो. हमारी प्रिंसिपल जो थी उनका नाम था मिस डिएब्रो. क्रिश्चियन और जूइश टीचर हमको इस्लामियात की क्लास के लिए खास तौर पे भेजा करती थी. और ये आपस में गुजराती में बात किया करते थे ये Jews.
And you know what's interesting? Like the Jews would encourage the Muslims that no, go take your Islamic classes is important, and why. Now you think for a minute like how people say today that, oh, Jews don't respect Islam, they don't represent Islam, they are taking over the world. This is a true story. A lot of the Jews would encourage the Muslims to go take your religious classes. What you see today in a mosque is the military teaching, nationalist religious teaching, which is a fake, useless, and violent ideology preached by the militant organization, which is why the Muslims are radicalized.
लेकिन हिब्रू नहीं बोलते थे, ये आपस में गुजराती बोलते थे. उन्होंने कभी भी
Yes, they wouldn't be able to speak Hebrew because Hebrew was not the language of like places like Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan, and somewhat Pakistan later. It was either Urdu, Farsi, and things like that because that's the cultural languages there.
हमको कोई चीज प्रीच करने की कोशिश नहीं की। 1973 के दौरान मेरा ख्याल है बड़ी खामोशी के साथ ये पाकिस्तान से चले गए, और मैंने उस जमाने में सुना था कि तकरीबन कोई 1500 फैमिली या 1500 इंडिविजुअल्स वो कराची से गए थे इसराइल।
So yes, the Jews left to Israel because of what the military nationalists did to them. Same story for Syria, same story for Libya, same story for Iraq, same thing. They're trying, I said this before and I'll say it again. They're replacing history between the Muslim and the Jews. That's not the real history that the militant organization wrote throughout time. That's not history at all. And 90%, as these guys have said, it started with the Arabs supporting the Palestinian cause, and it kind of just spread into Muslim countries as the Arabs, expanded the war and dragging all other Arab countries into the conflict. It affected the local Jewish communities that lived into the Muslim countries due to the hypocrisy and how they were treated. And that's pretty much, you heard in this video what they said. The more and more the wars grew between the Arabs, and after Israel's birth, it just turned into a global hypocrisy for the Jews while living in the Muslim countries, thanks to the militant nationalists. And I know I published this guy before, the militant leader Zia, who radicalized Pakistan, of course. He's the main cause for welcoming shithole. And of course, for Gaza, it would be Hamas. The story continues. Nothing has changed. Shithole into the Muslim countries.
इमैनुअल के मुताबिक 1972 के बाद कराची में अब सिर्फ चंद ही यहूदी खानदान बाकी रह गए थे, जिनमें उनका अपना खानदान भी शामिल था। इमैनुअल ने बताया कि उन दिनों ज्यादातर बैनुल अक़वामी खरीदार यहूदी थे जो मेरे वालिद के साथ कारोबार करते थे। मेरे वालिद पूरे साल के लिए एक दुकान का सामान खरीदते, यानी पूरा माल बुक कर लेते थे। पाकिस्तान में कालीनों के कारोबार का ये दौर किसी नेमत से कम न था। सनत उरूज पर थी, मेहनत रंग ला रही थी और तरक्की के दरवाजे मुसलसल खुल रहे थे। इमैनुअल लाहौर में और उनका भाई मदद कराची में कालीनों का कारोबार करते थे। हालात पहले से बहुत अच्छे थे, लेकिन फिर 1980 के बाद वो वक्त आया जब उनके लिए हालात साजगार न रहे और जिंदगी की रफ्तार बदल गई।
80 के शुरू में काफी फैनेटिज्म शुरू हो गया था, तो घर में भी कभी कभार लोग आके काफी गालियां देते थे, तो हम लोग अभी डर गए, तो हम लोग निकल गए। मेरी अम्मी को पुलिस ने भी पकड़ लिया था, यार आप इजरायली एजेंट है। उस वक्त से ना यहूदियों के खिलाफ काफी बातें शुरू हो गई थी, हर दफा एक नई चीज। एक दफा तो एक मौलवी साहब ने रेडियो में भी बोल दिया था कि यहूदी काफिर है, तो उस पे भी काफी हंगामा।
The evil mullahs who follow the retarded military narrative, of course he's going to call a Jew a kafir. But that's not the starting of the Muslim countries at all. Before these demons took place, nowhere close.
अम्मा हुआ था, अम्मी भी जाके लड़ गई थी उनसे, तो बहुत सारी चीजें थी ऐसे।
ठीक है, यानी पहले 80 से पहले मसाइल नहीं थे, उसके बाद मसाइल शुरू
नहीं थे, बिल्कुल नहीं थे। बहुत बहुत मजेदार जिंदगी थी।
तो जब ये मसाइल होना शुरू हुए तो फिर आप भी ये चाहते थे कि हमें यहाँ पर नहीं रहना चाहिए?
Now the Pakistani journalist asking the Pakistani Jew that, did you really wanted to leave Karachi, or were you forced to leave, or what happened to you? That's the next question he's asking.
खैर मुझे तो इतना उसमें वो नहीं था, लेकिन अम्मी को बहुत तकलीफ हो रही थी, लेकिन अम्मी ने डर के वजह से सबको निकाल दिया। पहले तो मेरे आधे भाई बहन निकल गए थे।
So he's saying that his mother was so terrified due to what's going on. Only half of his family left first, and the first Decca family, right? So his mom told everybody to leave to Israel. And half of his family was thrown. Last was him, but he didn't want to leave because he loved Pakistan till the death of him. But due to situation and not feeling safe, he was forced to leave to Israel, thanks to the militant politician, the retarded action narratives. In the name of Palestine, you try killing yourselves. Why are you killing everybody else and destroying Muslim lands? For the stupid, retarded narrative.
2 साल बाद हम लोग सब निकल। और बिना तकलीफ का सबसे बड़ा तो ये था कि जब अम्मी को पुलिस स्टेशन लेके 4 दिन रोका था, 4 दिन तक पुलिस स्टेशन में ही थे। उनको बोला था कि आप यहूदियों के एजेंट हैं।
कौन सा थाना था, आपको याद है किस थाने में रखा था?
सदर में ही किधर था मुझे याद नहीं है, घर के पास ही था, पैदल जाते थे।
Smart founders know something most people miss. your business. But
मैंने इमैनुअल से मदद जैद की शादी की कहानी सुनने की ख्वाहिश जाहिर की और उनसे मदद का राब्ता नंबर तलब किया। मैंने ये भी कहा कि मुबशिर मदद को बहुत याद करता है, लेकिन इमैनुअल ने मदद की इजाजत के बगैर नंबर देने से इनकार कर दिया।
मार्केट में आपके भाई का बहुत जिक्र है, बहुत चर्चा है, तो आप अपने भाई का नंबर देंगे हमें अब, ताकि उनका भी अगर शॉर्ट हम कर सकें।
So what the Jews started to do, even though they don't mean these things, due to the situation. So when this Muslim journalist was asking for his telephone number of your brother, like, can I meet him? Can I find out where he lives so I can interview him or something? So Emmanuel, the Jew, he pretty much said no because of safety purposes due to what's around. It was not like that before. You saw it, but that's not how stuff started to evolve within.
यार मुझे उससे पूछना पड़ेगा क्योंकि वो इन चीजों में घुसता नहीं है। वो अगर मुझे बोलेगा क्यों दिया, मैं पहले उससे पूछूंगा, अगर वो बोलेगा दे दो तो फिर पूछूंगा।
जी आप जरूर पूछ लीजिएगा अगर वो कहेंगे,
क्योंकि वो हमारी फैमिली में मेरे सिवा कोई भी बात नहीं करता, बल्कि अम्मी तो सबको मना कर देती है कि किसी से बात नहीं करो।
फिर मैंने तजस्सुस के आलम में सवाल किया, क्या मदद ने किसी मुसलमान खातून से शादी की है? इस पर इमैनुअल का जवाब कुछ इस तरह था।
तो मदद भाई का बताइएगा, मदद भाई की शादी पाकिस्तान में हुई उनकी?
जी पाकिस्तान, मेरी भी पाकिस्तान में।
ठीक है।
So they all got married to citizens of Pakistan. Like some got married to Pakistani Jews, some got married to Pakistani Muslims. Now the question is, what happened to them? Duh.
मदद भाई की शादी जो है वो बताइएगा, वो किसी मुस्लिम खातून से हुई थी?
नहीं मुस्लिम, वो मेरी जो खाला थी ना, अम्मी की बहन, वो पाकिस्तान में ही रहती थी। उनका वो कन्वर्ट हो गई थी मुस्लिम, उन्होंने मुस्लिम से शादी कर ली। वो मीरपुर खास में रहती थी उस जमाने में, उनका भी इंतकाल हो गया। मीरपुर खास में ही इंतकाल हुआ उनका, तो उनकी बेटी से मेरे भाई ने शादी की। क्योंकि हमारे रिलीजन में अगर माँ यहूदी होती है तो बच्चे भी यहूदी हैं, तो उस बेसिस पे उनकी बेटी भी यहूदी थी तो उनसे शादी की।
इमैनुअल ने मदद की शादी पाकिस्तान में होने की तस्दीक तो की, लेकिन मुसलमान मुलाजमा से शादी के दावे को मुस्तरद कर दिया। मुबशिर ने मुझे अपने दोस्त मदद की शादी और इश्क की दास्तान इस कदर एतमाद से बयान की थी कि उसे नजरअंदाज करना आसान नहीं था। दूसरी तरफ इमैनुअल की बात भी अहमियत रखती है। खैर, अब मैंने मुबशिर अहमद बग्गा से किया हुआ वादा पूरा करने का इरादा किया। मेरे पास मदद जैद का नंबर तो नहीं था, मगर मैंने मुबशिर से मदद के भाई इमैनुअल से बात करवा दी।
हेलो
So what that Muslim did is that the Jew that used to live in the village and people who remembered his family, things like that. So what the Muslim did is took his phone to the person and make him see their Jewish friend. And that's technically what you see on the screen now, that they're laughing together on the cell phone. Like, oh, hey, remember when we used to play together here? Or do you remember this food or what we used to do? That is basically what you're seeing on your screen now. And the Muslim, like the journalist showing, like, okay, how is our Jewish friend doing in Israel and how is he? And that's basically what he's showing now. Of course, the militant nationals would not allow this or do something to them, but some people, they don't care. When they know the truth, nothing can stop them.
क्या सबके सफेद बाल हो गए? क्या बात है? और तो आप तो सफेद भी हो गए, गंजे भी हो गए यार। और किधर हो आजकल? इस्राइल में। ओहो, इस्राइल में।
Now he's getting emotional because they grew up together, played together, and they know each other's stuff. And yeah, you can tell that they're getting emotional to each other, understanding what happened throughout time.
तो मदद सब यही रहते हैं, लेकिन अलग अलग जगह पे। अच्छा, नहीं मदद तो स्विट्जरलैंड नहीं था, उसने तो 10 साल हो गए छोड़ दिया। क्यों? तो कलीन का काम कर रहा है, बस यहाँ पे भी कालीन का काम ही कर रहा है। ओहो, अच्छा। नहीं तो उसका नंबर कोई है मतलब का?
यार पता नहीं उसने पिछली दफा उन्होंने भी मांगा था, लेकिन मतलब कह रहा था कि मेरा नंबर किसी को नहीं देना। तो मैंने
भाई
दिया।
उसको बोलो भाई पिल्ले का भाई है, दे दूं कि नहीं, बोलेगा दो।
So he's saying to his Jewish friend that you're my brother. It's okay. You're safe with me. Please give me your number. Do not be afraid of me. Please don't feel that way. And he's like, talk to me. And that's what he's telling Emmanuel, that please don't be afraid of me. We grew up together. We played together. We seen our marriages, everything. We've seen Pakistan go through a change. Tell him not to be afraid of me. And please let me see him and do give him his number, even though Emmanuel was all right. But the others are, well, due to all that has happened, don't feel the same way as they used to, but yes.
चलो ठीक है, मैं पूछ लेता हूँ, मैं आपको फिर बताता हूँ।
बिल्कुल बताओ यार, मेरा सलाम देना यार बाजी को। और कोई
ऑल द बेस्ट, बस अपना ख्याल रखिए।
चले ख्याल तो रखेंगे लाजमी।
अगर सामने दुकान के सामने कोई समोसे वाला है तो मेरी तरफ से खा ले।
Sorry to interrupt, but this is important.
So it's almost finished, the documentary. So this is the true history of the Pakistani Jews.
चले थोड़ी देर के लिए हम पोलैंड के शहर कराकोव चलते हैं। एक दिन एक मुसलमान सहाफी कराकोव के रेस्टोरेंट में खाना खा रहा था कि अचानक उसके कानों में एक मानूस आवाज टकराई। वो चौंक कर इधर उधर देखने लगा। थोड़ी दूर एक मेज पर उसे 4 दरमियानी उम्र के गोरे बैठे नजर आए। उनके सामने एक मोबाइल फोन रखा था जिस पर हबीब वली मोहम्मद की गजल चल रही थी। वो चारों गजल सुन रहे थे। ये मंजर देखकर सहाफी उनकी जानिब बढ़ा और पूछा,
क्या आपको ये अल्फाज समझ आ रहे हैं?
जी बिल्कुल, पूरी तरह।
क्या वाकई? जनाब आप किस मुल्क से ताल्लुक रखते हैं?
जी तशरीफ रखें। देखें, हम चारों भाई हैं और तल अवीव में रहते हैं।
अगर आप तल अवीव में रहते हैं तो फिर उर्दू कहाँ से सीखी?
जनाब हम
That's exactly how I reacted when I met Vishal, the Pakistani Jew. I'm like, huh? You're a Jew and you speak Urdu? That's exactly how this guy's reacting. That's how I reacted when I met Vishal, and I'm like, what? But you're a Jew. You have to speak Hebrew. You can't speak that. And he's like, I'm a Pakistani Jew. This is my foreign language. I don't speak Hebrew. What you see on the screen, exactly what my reaction was when I first time met a Pakistani Jew, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, what happened to you, and why? Why so little? Exactly how this guy is reacting, how I reacted when I met a Jew from Pakistan, and watching this made me emotional too, but yeah.
उर्दू कराची में सीखी।
अरे आपका कराची से कैसे ताल्लुक हो सकता है? अगर आप तल अवीव से हैं तो आप तो यहूदी होंगे। फिर ये कैसे?
हैरान मत हो। देखें, मैं और मेरा छोटा भाई कराची में पैदा हुए। हमने स्कूल की तालीम
Right? Because Jews lived in Muslim countries. Not every single Jew is from Israel. The Jews lived in Muslim countries. They have a deed passed together that the militant nationals killed, erased, and pretty much got rid of. But yeah, and you're gonna act I acted like this guy when I met a Pakistani Jew, and yeah, I'm like, like you're one of me. Are you serious? Okay, what foods have you tried? And so many questions. That's exactly how this guy's reacting now as a Muslim. Like, huh? You speak Urdu, but how do you know this music? But you're a Jew. You can't be from Karachi. And that's exactly how I reacted too, because not many people know what happened to the Jews in the Muslim world. The whole story is a lie written by the military nationalists. That's not the story behind the doors.
तैयारी से हासिल की। हम अब इस्राइल में रहते हैं, लेकिन कराची हमारे दिल में बसा हुआ है। हमारे वालिद का 1992 में इंतकाल हो गया। वो हबीब वली मोहम्मद की गजलें बहुत पसंद करते थे। जब भी हमें उनकी याद आती है, हम उनकी पसंदीदा गजल कब मेरा नशे मन अहले चमन सुनते हैं।
क्या आपका कराची से कोई ताल्लुक या राब्ता अब भी मौजूद है?
हाँ, हमारी माँ, दादा और दादी कराची में दफन है। हमें उनकी कब्रें हमेशा याद रहती हैं। आप उसी याद को ही राब्ता समझ लें।
क्या आप कभी कराची गए हैं?
नहीं भाई, इसराइल और पाकिस्तान के दरमियान सिफारती ताल्लुकात नहीं है। हम कराची नहीं जा सकते।
ये वाकया मशहूर सहाफी जावेद चौधरी ने अपने आर्टिकल में बयान किया है। सदर की गलियों के चंद खस्ता हाल घर तो आज भी माजी के राज छुपा रहे हैं। ये टूटी हुई खिड़कियां और गर्द आलू दरवाजे कभी यहूदी बरादरी के गमों और खुशियों के गवाह हुआ करते थे।
This is so sad. It's even making me sad. Like these burnt houses, once upon a time belonged to Jews, and the Muslims watch it burn. It's so emotional and true, but yes, all these burnt homes belong to the Jews, and the militant nationals killed it. Where Muslims in Pakistan used to play with them, and know you've seen a true story of friendship. And then, of course, when a Muslim does not know about the Jewish history in Pakistan, and you will see exactly how that guy behaved. I was the same thing. I'm like, but you're Jewish, and what do you mean you don't have link to Israel and things like that? He's like, I'm a Pakistani Jew, just like how there's Iraqi Jews, and I reacted the same damn way. Yeah.
सहाफी शीमा सदीकी के मुताबिक आज भी कराची के शहरियों की एक कलील तादाद यहूदी खानदान पर मुश्तमिल है। ये मालूमात नादरा के एक ऑफिसर ने अपना नाम जाहिर न करने की शर्त पर उन्हें फराहम की।
जो हमारी लास्ट पॉपुलेशन सेंसियस हुआ है उसके मुताबिक यहाँ पाकिस्तान में कुल 780 जो है जोइश कम्युनिटी के लोग मौजूद हैं जो अपनी नादरा के डेटा के मुताबिक वो उसे जाहिर करते हैं। कराची में बात करें तो कराची में कुल टोटल 119 लोगों का डेटा मौजूद है कि जो अपने आप को जोइश उन्होंने नादरा के डेटा में लिखा है।
मैंने कई दिन यहूदियों को तलाश करने में गुजारे, लेकिन जल्द ही समझ गया कि ये काम इतना आसान नहीं है। शकील सलावत ने मुझे तसल्ली
saying that my last breath I tried to look for more Jews if there's anybody left in Karachi, and the clear sad news is a no.
दी और कहा, भाई कोशिश जारी रखो, अगर दिल से जुस्तजू करोगे तो राज जरूर बेनकाब होंगे।
सदर का इलाका है, एक बहुत मशहूर होटल है जिसके 3rd फ्लोर पे या 4th फ्लोर पे वो संडे उनको तो गेट टू गैदरिंग इनकी होती है। उसमें सिख भी आते हैं, उसमें ईसाई भी आते हैं, पारसी भी आते हैं, यहूदी भी आते हैं, और ये आपस में मिलते हैं, इनके सिफारखानों से प्रभावित होते हैं। एक अलग दुनिया है वो। अगर आप खोज करेंगे एज ए रिपोर्टर, आपको वो पूरी दुनिया आपको नजर आएगी।
मैंने गोवा की एक क्रिश्चियन खातून को एतमाद में लेकर दरख्वास्त की कि वो मुझे यहूदियों से मिलवा दें, और यकीन दिलाया कि हम उनके चेहरे।
So he's saying, so I ran into a Christian and begged, could you please let me see someone Jewish in the country, even though there's more Christians like face damage after militant nationalists took over. But he's saying that if you have any more Jewish or you know anybody Jewish in Pakistan, please let me meet them. And this is the response they got.
सामने नहीं लाएंगे, बस वो एक बार मुझसे मुलाकात कर लें। खातून ने तस्दीक की कि वो 6 यहूदी खानदान को जानती हैं, लेकिन ये भी वाज़ेह किया कि वो मेरी इनसे मुलाकात नहीं करवा सकती। इन खानदानों ने कराची में अपनी जिंदगियां महफूज बनाने के लिए पहले ही बड़ी मुश्किल से अपनी शनाख्त तब्दील करके खुद को क्रिश्चियन जाहिर किया हुआ है। जब मेरी मुस्तफा सरहंदी से बात हुई तो एक दिलचस्प इंकिशाफ सामने आया कि दुनिया के मुख्तलिफ ममालिक से ताल्लुक रखने वाले यहूदी पाकिस्तान का रुख करते हैं। ये बात मेरे लिए हैरान कुन थी।
ये जो मेरे दोस्त जो मुझे फैसलाबाद में मिले हैं ना, ये वक्त है, ये टाइम है 2001 और 2002 का। तो इससे मुझे पता चला कि ये बिजनेस के लिए तो पाकिस्तान आते हैं और वो यहाँ से अपना जो मर्चेंडाइज खरीदना है वो खरीद के भी जाते हैं। यहूदियों में कोई एक पत्थर होता है, वो पत्थर इनका मजहबी पत्थर है और वो यूज करते हैं ये तस्बीहों में, बीच में, अंगूठियों में, हार बनाने में। वो पत्थर पाकिस्तान में बहुत निकलता है और वो पाकिस्तान के किसी नॉर्दर्न एरिया से निकलता है। तो वो ये सारा यहाँ से ये तकरीबन खरीदता था। ये वो उसने मुझे बताया कि ये जो सदर में एक पत्थरों की दुकान है, जेम्स की शॉप, पूरी मार्केट है छोटी सी, तो ये वहां जाके सारे पत्थर खरीद लिया करता था और ये एक्सपर्ट का पत्थर खरीदता।
पाकिस्तान में यहूदी लोग अपने वक्त में तालीम, कारोबार और समाजी जिंदगी में अपना हिस्सा डालते रहे हैं, मगर वक्त के साथ सियासी हालात और मजहबी माहौल बदल गया, जिससे उनके लिए यहाँ रहना मुश्किल होता गया। इसी वजह से वो कराची समेत मुख्तलिफ शहरों से चले गए। ये फैसला ना हुकूमत की तरफ से था और ना ही उसे पूरा नुकसान या फायदा कहा जा सकता है। ये बस उस दौर के हालात के मुताबिक होने वाला एक अमल था, जिससे शहर की आबादी में कुछ तब्दीली आई।
These are all Jews, by the way, all the Jews of Pakistan that militant nationalists killed, all for a retarded narrative, especially after 1948 when Israel took place and all the Arab lands pretty much spread for the Palestinian cause and made the Muslim countries jump into the club. And it got taken out on the Jews who lived there.
लेकिन मुल्क के बड़े निजाम पर कोई खास फर्क नहीं पड़ा।
The full memory of the Pakistani Jews. It's a really heartbreaking, touching, and very emotional story. But this is the real history of the Jews who grew up with the Muslims in Pakistan. So, as we all know, and this is the full story of the people, and this is the full story of what happened to the Jews in Pakistan. Of course, I don't have Iraq's history. I'm not the one I can share about Pakistan's history, but yes, this is the full story, what happened. And as I said before, I'll say it again, is that what the military is telling you is not the whole truth. That's just a portion. That's not the whole truth of the story. Militaries ended up showing, especially after the West independence, they took advantage of the Muslim lands even more, just so the Muslim lands would not connect with the West, and how they launched their narratives. It's like the Moroccan king once said, is that his own military soldier tried to kill him. Could you imagine that? And it's like he said, these are Muslims in the name of religion, pretending to be someone they are not. That's not the whole story at all. These are criminals. They've been criminals for many years. And they launched their stuff. They erased the actual history link to the Muslim land. And this is the real history of the Pakistani Jews, how they built a hotel, how they helped win certain things. And many Muslims who made this documentary remember where they took place, who were they, and how they used to grow up in their homes, houses, play together, eat together, everything. And it's funny how many people don't know this. So I can only say so much, and I hope people understand that it's very important to study the leaders who did the change, because that's the blank puzzle. How did things get eliminated and who did it? Just like how I showed here. If you understand this, you will understand what happened throughout life, just like how the Muslims said in this documentary, and literally just pulled up a phone and pulled up their Jewish friend from Israel and showed his face through a telephone when they used to play together, be together everywhere, and they watched the changes come on the Jewish people in their homes. That is the real truth in the Muslim world. And not a lot of people are going to tell you that, but yes. So I hope people understand. I'm going to get ready to end this stream. This was pretty interesting. And thank you all who watched and enjoyed. Till next time. And yeah, I thought this was very interesting. It was sensitive, very emotional. And yes, take care, you all. Next time from Words and Wonder.